The stars over the deep space research vessel Aurora shimmered like tiny diamonds, scattered across an endless sea of black. The crew moved quietly through the metal halls, their boots echoing softly as the ship drifted near the border of human space. It had been 3 long months since they left Earth, and so far, their mission had been calm, maybe too calm. Dr. Eli Warren sat alone in the communications room, sipping lukewarm coffee while checking the data logs. He was not a soldier nor a famous explorer. He was a linguist, a quiet man who loved languages, symbols, and the strange beauty of alien speech. His job on the Aurora was simple: monitor any new signals the ship might detect and help translate them. But that night, something unusual happened. A faint tone echoed through the speakers, soft at first like a whisper from the stars. Then it grew louder, repeating in perfect rhythm. Eli frowned and leaned closer. The tone didn't match any known alien transmission pattern. It wasn't random noise either. It carried structure, rhythm, meaning. He quickly started decoding the signal, his fingers flying over the console. "Captain Clark," he called through the intercom, "you might want to see this." Within minutes, Captain Aisha Clark arrived with 2 officers. She was calm, sharp-eyed, and respected by everyone on board. "What do we have, Doctor?" she asked. Eli adjusted his glasses, nervous but excited. "A signal, ma'am. Not one of ours. It's repeating an encrypted sequence. It's elegant, almost like music." The captain studied the holographic screen. "Source?" Eli pointed at a glowing sector on the map. "Outer Zelthari border. But here's the strange part. The signal has a royal insignia." The room went silent. Everyone knew what that meant. The Zelthari Empire was one of the oldest and most advanced civilizations known to humans. Their rulers, the Monarchs, were considered almost sacred among their kind. They never spoke directly to outsiders. Every contact with other species went through dozens of ambassadors and approval layers. For a royal insignia to appear in a direct transmission was not only rare, it was impossible. "Captain." Clark crossed her arms. "Play it." Eli hesitated, then pressed a button. The room filled with a smooth, echoing voice. Neither male nor female, soft but powerful, like music mixed with thought. The translation module began converting it into English, though parts still shimmered with strange tones. "Human vessel Aurora," the voice said. "By decree of the Zelthari throne, this message is addressed to one among you, Dr. Eli Warren." The captain's eyes widened. "To you?" Eli froze. "That can't be right," the voice continued, now softer. "Protocol forbids my speaking to a human directly, but I must know. Are you taken?" The words hung in the air. Everyone looked at Eli in shock. One of the officers tried not to laugh. "Did she just—" Captain Clark raised a hand sharply. "Quiet." Her expression hardened. "Dr. Warren, any explanation for this?" Eli shook his head, bewildered. "None at all, ma'am. I've never spoken to any Zelthari representative. I'm just a linguist." The transmission ended abruptly, leaving behind a faint hum. The room stayed silent for several long seconds. Then the captain spoke again, her voice steady. "We need to confirm if this is genuine. If it is, the Zelthari monarch has just broken one of the oldest intergalactic laws." For the rest of the day, the ship buzzed with confusion and excitement. Engineers analyzed the signal again and again. It was authentic. The encryption key matched the Zelthari royal code used only by their highest leaders. There was no mistake. Eli sat in the observation lounge, staring out at the endless stars. He felt strange, as if the universe had suddenly turned its gaze directly toward him. Why him of all people? He wasn't special. He wasn't a hero or a diplomat. He was just a man who loved studying words and meanings. He remembered the voice, calm, almost human in its tone. And that question, "Are you taken?" It sounded innocent, but also deeply personal. It made no sense coming from a ruler of an empire that controlled half the known galaxy. Captain Clark joined him quietly. "You look like you've seen a ghost," she said. Eli smiled weakly. "A royal ghost, maybe." She sat beside him. "Command wants us to stay quiet about this. Until we know what's going on, no word leaves this ship. You're to continue decoding the signal, but under full supervision." Eli nodded. "Understood, Captain, but what if she contacts us again?" Captain Clark looked at the stars. "Then we'll decide if humanity should answer." Later that night, when most of the crew had gone to rest, the signal returned. The same soft tone echoed through the air, followed by the same gentle voice. Eli was alone in the room again. "Dr. Eli Warren," the voice said. "I sense confusion. I do not mean offense. I only wish to speak." Eli hesitated but activated the translator microphone. "This is Dr. Eli Warren. May I know who I'm speaking to?" The air shimmered and a holographic projection formed. A tall, radiant figure cloaked in streams of light. Her face was calm, her eyes shining like silver water. "I am Seraphis IX, monarch of the Zelthari Empire." Eli nearly dropped his headset. "Your Majesty? That's impossible. You're not supposed to communicate directly." Her expression softened. "That is true. I have broken protocol, but sometimes even rulers must follow the call of curiosity." Eli took a careful breath. "Why me?" "I have studied your species," she said. "Humanity is young yet carries emotion like flame. I have read your archives, your stories, your poems, your songs. They speak of something we no longer understand. Connection, bond, love." Her voice slowed, almost uncertain. "You wrote an essay once, Doctor. On human empathy, how words carry feeling. When I read it, I felt something awaken." Eli blinked. He had published that paper years ago. It was a small academic piece barely noticed on Earth. "You read that?" "Yes," she said softly. "And I wondered, how does one feel such things? Among my kind, affection has faded into logic. We have perfection, yet we are hollow. So I ask again, are you taken? Does another hold your heart? I must understand this bond you speak of." Eli didn't know what to say. The most powerful being in the galaxy was asking him about love. "Your Majesty," he began carefully, "humans form emotional connections because we need each other. We're fragile, imperfect creatures. Love, in any form, reminds us we're alive." Seraphis tilted her head. "Fascinating. Among us, need is considered weakness, yet you call it strength." "It is," Eli said softly, "because it keeps us human." Her light flickered slightly like a heartbeat. "Then I envy your kind, Doctor. You carry warmth even in darkness." Before he could reply, the projection flickered again. "They will discover this breach soon," she said. "I must go. But know this, I will speak to you again. There is much I wish to learn." The light vanished, leaving Eli alone in silence. When Captain Clark arrived minutes later, Eli was still staring at the empty air. He told her everything. The hologram, the conversation, the monarch's name. The captain listened without interrupting. Finally, she said, "Do you realize what this means? If word gets out, it could shake every government in the galaxy." The Zelthari monarch spoke directly to a human. Not a leader, not a general, but a linguist. Eli nodded slowly. "I know, but Captain..." She didn't sound like a ruler. She sounded lonely. Captain Clark studied him for a moment, then sighed. "Keep this quiet. Command will want a report tomorrow. For now, get some rest." But Eli didn't sleep. He sat by the observation window again, watching the slow dance of the stars. Somewhere out there, among those endless lights, was Seraphis IX, the monarch who had broken every rule of her empire just to ask a human one simple question. "Are you taken?" It echoed in his mind, not as a question of romance, but as something deeper. A sign that even among the stars there were hearts that longed to understand what it meant to feel. The next morning, Aurora's crew woke to a shipwide alert. The Zelthari signal had returned, stronger, clearer, and direct. It wasn't just a message this time. It was a request for a live communication link. Captain Clark gathered the senior crew in the command center. The room was filled with tension. Holographic screens floated in the air, displaying waves of coded data. Dr. Eli Warren stood near the back, still unsure if this was all real or just a strange dream he couldn't wake from. "The signal is verified again," the communication officer said. "It's definitely coming from the Zelthari Royal Channel. Same encryption, same identity code, Seraphis IX." Captain Clark rubbed her forehead. "That's the monarch herself. This is serious. Every interstellar treaty forbids direct human contact with a royal member without council approval." She turned to Eli. "Doctor, last night's conversation, everything you said, was recorded?" Eli nodded slowly. "Yes, Captain. The entire transmission was logged." But she didn't make any threats. She just asked questions, very unusual ones. "Unusual?" the captain repeated. "She broke a 1,000-year protocol to ask if you're taken." A few of the officers exchanged awkward glances. Even in such a tense situation, the absurdity of it was hard to ignore. Eli smiled faintly but didn't speak. Inside, however, he felt something he couldn't name. Curiosity, fear, maybe even awe. Why had she chosen him? Why a linguist and not a diplomat? Captain Clark exhaled slowly.
Command wants us to respond.
They've granted temporary permission for you, Dr. Warren, to speak again. But I'll monitor everything. One wrong step and I end the transmission. Eli understood. Yes, Captain. The lights dimmed. The ship's systems redirected power to the communication array. Then the room filled with shimmering light once again. Slowly, the image of Queen Seraphis IX formed in the air. She appeared the same as before. Tall, graceful, crowned in soft light that moved like liquid stars. Her eyes shone with calm intelligence and something else beneath it, something almost human. Captain Clark saluted politely. Your Majesty, this is Captain Aisha Clark of the Aurora. You have entered human communication space. May I ask the purpose of this contact? The Monarch's gaze moved gently toward the captain. Her voice echoed like music. Captain Clark, I'm aware I have broken your diplomatic structure, yet I mean no harm. I seek only conversation with Dr. Eli Warren. The captain hesitated. May I ask why? Seraphis turned her eyes toward Eli. Because he holds an answer my people have forgotten how to ask. The words hung in the air like soft thunder. Captain Clark looked at Eli. Doctor, she wants you. Go ahead. Eli stepped forward, heart pounding. Your Majesty, he said carefully, you honor us by speaking directly. But you must know what this means. Both our governments will panic. Let them panic, Seraphis said softly. The stars have been ruled by fear for too long. I wish to speak not as a monarch, but as a being seeking truth. Eli studied her holographic form. Then what do you wish to know? Seraphis paused for a long moment before speaking. Last night I asked a simple question and I saw confusion in your eyes. It was not meant to offend. Among my kind, we have lost the meaning of personal attachment. We reproduce through design, not connection. We rule through order, not affection. But your species, humans, live through emotion. It guides you, binds you, and gives your short lives purpose. I want to understand it. Eli listened quietly. Every word she spoke was filled with genuine curiosity. It didn't sound like royal arrogance. It sounded like an ancient being finally admitting that something was missing. Your Majesty, Eli said softly, emotion is not easy to explain. It's not logic or math. It's experience. You can't just learn it, you have to feel it. Then teach me, she said suddenly. Teach me to feel. The room fell silent. Captain Clark's expression showed disbelief, but she didn't interrupt. Eli looked around, then back at the Monarch. I can try to explain, but I can't make you feel what we do. Seraphis smiled gently. Perhaps not, but understanding is the first step. Over the next few hours, Eli and the Monarch spoke while the captain and officers quietly observed. The conversation drifted from science to art, from history to emotion. Eli showed her images of Earth, the blue oceans, green forests, and bustling cities. He told her about humanity's journey, how humans rose from caves to stars not through power but through cooperation and dreams. Seraphis listened intently, her silver eyes reflecting each picture. You destroy, she said, yet you build again. You fall yet rise stronger. Among my kind, such instability would be seen as weakness, yet I sense strength in your imperfection. Eli nodded. That's because our strength isn't in perfection. It's in trying again, even after failure. Her eyes softened. Trying again, she repeated as if testing the words. Such a small phrase, yet it feels vast. Eli smiled. That's what being human is. We keep trying no matter what. She was quiet for a while. Then she said, there is something else I wish to ask. This concept of love, you speak of it often in your history. You risk lives for it. You write songs, even fight wars. What is it truly? Eli hesitated. How could he describe something so deep in simple words? Love, he said finally, is when you care for someone more than yourself. It's when their happiness matters more than yours. It's not logic, it's connection. Seraphis looked thoughtful. And is that why you live such short lives? Because you give your hearts away so easily. Maybe, Eli said with a faint smile. But it's what makes life beautiful. The Monarch lowered her head slightly. My people abandoned such bonds long ago. We believed they made us weak. But now I wonder if that was the moment we began to lose our soul. Her voice trembled slightly, a hint of emotion breaking through. For a ruler who had probably never shown weakness in centuries, it was a powerful sight. Eli looked at her kindly. "You can't lose something forever, Your Majesty. If you're looking for meaning, maybe that means it's still inside you." Seraphis met his eyes. "Perhaps you are right." The conversation continued until the ship's systems warned of overheating from the prolonged link. As the hologram began to fade, Seraphis spoke one last time. "Dr. Eli Warren, you have shown me more truth in 1 hour than my advisors have in 1,000 years. I will contact you again soon. But before I go, answer me honestly. Are you taken?" Eli blinked, surprised again. "No," he said after a pause. "I'm not." Her eyes glowed faintly brighter. "Then your heart is free." "That is good, because I wish to understand it fully." The hologram vanished, leaving the crew in silence. Captain Clark broke the stillness. "Well," she said quietly, "the monarch of an empire just said she wants to understand your heart, Doctor. That might be the strangest thing I've ever heard." Eli sighed, rubbing his temples. "You and me both, Captain." She gave a half-smile. "Command will go wild when they hear this. They already think this ship's cursed with weird luck." But she could see the concern in his eyes. "You're worried," she said. "Yes," he admitted. "Because she isn't just curious. She's lonely." Captain Clark nodded. "Maybe. But loneliness from someone who rules half the stars? That's dangerous." Days passed. The Aurora resumed its mission, but the crew remained uneasy. Every time the communication lights blinked, Eli's heart skipped a beat. He spent his nights writing notes, trying to understand what Seraphis really wanted. He reread her words again and again. "Teach me to feel." Then on the 4th day it happened again. The signal returned. The same soft tone, the same gentle light. "Dr. Warren," came her voice, calm and clear. "Are you alone?" "Yes, Your Majesty," he replied quietly. "Then listen carefully," she said. "I wish to meet you in person." Eli's heart froze. "Meet me? That's impossible." My council will not know," she interrupted. "They will call it treason, perhaps. But I no longer care. I cannot learn what it means to be human from afar. I must see your world, your people, your hearts." Eli was speechless. "If you come here, it will cause chaos. The Galactic Council might even declare war." "Then so be it," Seraphis said softly. "Some truths are worth the storm." Her voice softened again like wind through starlight. "You once said love is caring more for another than yourself. If so, then perhaps I already begin to understand." The hologram flickered and faded, leaving only her last words echoing in the air. Captain Clark entered moments later and saw the look on Eli's face. "What did she say this time?" Eli looked out the viewport toward the stars. "She said she's coming." The days after Queen Seraphis's last message were filled with silence, but not peace. The crew of Aurora worked restlessly, always checking the radar and communication systems, waiting for another sign from her. Even though the Monarch's voice had faded into the void, her words remained alive in everyone's minds. "She said she's coming," Captain Clark reminded the senior staff during the daily meeting. That could mean anything. Maybe a visit. Maybe a fleet. "We can't take chances." The command deck felt heavy with tension. The soft hum of the engines was the only sound for a moment. Dr. Eli Warren sat quietly at the far end of the table, his hands folded together. He had hardly slept since the last transmission. Every time he closed his eyes, he heard her voice again, calm, graceful, and full of emotion that shouldn't have belonged to a being like her. "She doesn't mean harm," Eli said finally. "If she did, we'd already be gone. You've seen her messages. She's curious, not hostile." Captain Clark sighed. "Maybe so, Doctor. But curiosity from a monarch can still destroy worlds." Her words carried weight. Everyone knew that the Zelthari Empire was powerful beyond imagination. Their technology could bend gravity, shape light, even move moons. A single royal ship entering human space could cause panic across the galaxy. Still, Eli couldn't shake the strange feeling that Seraphis was not coming as a conqueror, but as a seeker of truth. 3 days later, the first sign appeared. A flash of light rippled across the ship's long-range sensors. Not a star, not a comet, but something enormous entering real space. The readings were unlike anything the Aurora's instruments had ever seen before. "She's here," whispered the sensor officer. Captain Clark stood up sharply. "Visual link. Now." The main screen filled with the image of a ship larger than any human had ever built. It floated like a crystal cathedral, glowing softly in the darkness of space. Streams of golden light flowed around it, forming patterns that looked alive. The ship was silent, majestic, and completely still, like a dream carved into the stars. Eli felt his breath catch. "That's her vessel." A voice filled the room, calm and familiar. "Aurora, this is Queen Seraphis IX of the Zelthari Empire. I come unarmed and in peace. May I approach?" Captain Clark exchanged looks with her officers. "Unarmed?" she repeated. That ship could hold enough power to vaporize a planet. "Still," Eli said quietly, "she's asking permission. That must mean something." Captain Clark hesitated. Then she made her decision. "This is Captain Clark of the human vessel Aurora. Permission granted for approach. But Your Majesty, please understand that your presence may cause alarm." "I understand," the monarch replied gently. "I do not wish for fear, only understanding." As the Zelthari ship drew closer, its light touched the Aurora like dawn spilling through the night. The two ships drifted side by side, one massive and glowing, the other small but brave. For the first time in history, a human vessel and a Zelthari royal ship shared the same space. A shimmering bridge of light formed between them, a transport corridor created by Zelthari technology. It glowed softly, stable and welcoming. "She wants you to come," Captain Clark said, turning to Eli. Eli felt his heart race. "Alone?" "Yes, she specifically requested you." He hesitated, then nodded. "Then I'll go." Captain Clark placed a hand on his shoulder. "Eli, remember who you represent. You're not just one man now. You're all of humanity." He managed a nervous smile. "I'll try to make us look good." And with that, he stepped into the light. The world around him changed instantly. He was no longer standing in the metallic hallways of the Aurora, but in a vast chamber made of silver glass. The air shimmered faintly, filled with a soft hum like distant music. Everything around him was elegant and alive, walls that breathed, lights that pulsed like hearts. At the center of the chamber stood Queen Seraphis IX. Her presence was gentle, but powerful. She was taller than he remembered, her figure wrapped in flowing strands of radiant energy. Her eyes glowed softly as she smiled. "Welcome, Dr. Eli Warren," she said. "You stand upon the heart of my vessel, the celestial crown." Eli bowed slightly, unsure if it was the right gesture. "It's an honor, Your Majesty." She shook her head. "No titles between us today. Call me Seraphis." Eli blinked. "That wouldn't be proper." "Perhaps not," she said softly, "but truth rarely is." She gestured for him to follow. They walked together through a corridor made of light, where walls shifted to display images, galaxies, oceans, and creatures Eli had never seen. Every step felt unreal. As they walked, Seraphis spoke in her calm, melodic voice. "My council will call me reckless. They may even call this treason. But I have lived too long behind walls of protocol. I wish to see your world through your eyes." Eli looked at her curiously. "You risk so much. Just to understand humans?" "Yes," she replied. "Because I believe your kind carries something the galaxy has forgotten. I read your histories, the wars, the peace, the art, the laughter. Even your pain speaks of hope. It fascinates me." Eli smiled faintly. "Hope is something humans hold on to, even when logic says we shouldn't." "Then hope," she said slowly, "is what I wish to learn." They reached a window overlooking the stars. The view was breathtaking. Thousands of glowing colors, more vivid than anything Eli had ever seen. Seraphis looked out at them quietly. "Do you see this?" she said softly. "To my kind, these are only coordinates, energy sources, and travel routes. But when I look at them now, I see beauty. I think that is because of you." Eli felt his face grow warm. "I didn't do anything." She turned to him gently. "You reminded me to feel." Back on Earth, the situation was spiraling out of control. The Galactic Council had detected the Zelthari royal ship's arrival and declared an emergency session. Human governments were in panic, fearing the visit might lead to war or diplomatic chaos. Messages flooded the Aurora demanding an explanation. Captain Clark handled them with calm strength, but even she knew the situation was slipping beyond control. On the Zelthari vessel, Eli and Seraphis were unaware of the full storm building outside. They spent hours speaking about humanity's dreams, fears, and art. Seraphis showed him how Zelthari minds communicated through light and thought. Eli, in return, told her about music, stories, and the human heart. Your people feel through sound, she said with wonder. You shape emotion through vibration, that is beautiful. Music, Eli said, smiling. It's how we speak when words aren't enough. Seraphis closed her eyes, and a moment later the chamber filled with soft tones, each one glowing with color. It was music, but unlike anything human. It was alive, weaving light and emotion together. Eli stood silently, moved beyond words. That's incredible. Her eyes opened again and she smiled faintly. A gift. My first attempt at feeling as you do. Suddenly, alarms echoed through the ship. The glowing walls dimmed to a warning red. Seraphis's calm expression tightened. The council has found me, she said quietly. They demand I return immediately. Eli looked alarmed. What will they do if you don't? Remove me from the throne, she said simply. Perhaps worse. Eli's heart pounded. Then you should go back. Seraphis turned to him slowly. And undo everything I have learned? No, I cannot return to emptiness. Not after this. He tried to speak, but she raised a hand gently. Do not fear, Dr. Warren. I will not bring harm to your people. But if the council wishes to take me, they must hear my truth first. What truth? Eli asked softly. That humans have reminded me of what it means to feel, she said, and that no empire should rule without a heart. The words sent a chill through him. He realized then that her visit wasn't just about curiosity. It was a turning point for her entire civilization. The alarm stopped. The ship went silent again, floating peacefully among the stars. Seraphis looked at him for a long time. You have given me understanding, Eli Warren, and for that I thank you. But your world may soon be caught between empires because of my actions. Eli's voice was quiet but firm. Then maybe it's time both empires learn what peace really means. Seraphis smiled faintly. You speak like a ruler. He laughed softly. I'm just a linguist. Sometimes, she said gently, the smallest voice can move the stars. As the light around them shimmered softly, Eli realized the truth. This was no longer just an encounter. It was the beginning of a change that would echo across galaxies. When Queen Seraphis arrived near Earth, the sky changed. A strange glow covered the upper atmosphere, and people all over the planet stopped what they were doing to look up. The alien Monarch ship was not like any human design. It shimmered like a living star, pulsing softly with blue and gold light. It was silent but powerful, almost majestic. Governments went into panic mode. Military bases prepared defenses. News channels screamed about the royal visitor, and the Galactic Council's message arrived within minutes. Return the Monarch immediately, or Earth will face consequences. But Queen Seraphis ignored them. She wanted to see humanity with her own eyes. Dr. Eli Warren stood in the international landing zone, his heart beating fast. Around him stood Captain Aisha Clark and a group of human diplomats. Soldiers surrounded the area, ready but nervous. Cameras from every major network pointed at the sky. Everyone waited for the alien Monarch to descend. Then a beam of light stretched down from the ship, soft and warm. The light touched the ground and slowly faded. From it stepped Seraphis. She didn't wear armor or carry guards. She looked almost human, but her skin had a faint glow and her eyes were like twin galaxies. Her royal robes flowed as if made from light itself. But when she stepped forward, she smiled. A small, uncertain smile that made her seem less like a ruler and more like someone simply curious about life. The soldiers held their weapons tighter. The diplomats froze. But Eli stepped forward. Welcome to Earth, Your Majesty. Seraphis nodded slightly. It is smaller than I imagined, she said softly, but alive in a way no other world feels. Her words were calm, but her voice carried power. The wind seemed to pause when she spoke. Aisha whispered to Eli, we shouldn't have done this. The council will see it as rebellion. Eli replied quietly, maybe it's time someone did. Seraphis began her visit without ceremony. She refused special treatment or private tours. Instead, she asked to walk through real cities to meet real people. The human leaders hesitated, but Eli convinced them. If she came to learn what makes us human, he said, then let her see it herself. And so, one morning, the alien Monarch walked through a crowded marketplace in New Delhi, surrounded by a small human escort and hidden surveillance drones. People stared, amazed but unafraid. The queen looked around like a child seeing sunlight for the first time. She stopped at a fruit stand and pointed to an apple. Why do humans trade for food when you can grow it yourselves? She asked. Eli smiled. Because it's not only about food. It's about sharing, about work, about connection. She looked thoughtful. Connection again. That word follows you, Eli Warren. As they continued walking, a little girl ran up to Seraphis and offered her a small flower. The guards tensed, but Seraphis knelt and took the flower gently. For a moment, her glowing skin dimmed and she looked almost emotional. The girl smiled and ran back to her mother. Seraphis turned to Eli. You humans give so easily. My kind would not understand this. We only exchange when there is purpose. That's what makes us different, Eli said. We give because it feels right, not because we expect something. Seraphis nodded slowly. And that is what I came to understand. As days passed, she visited schools, hospitals, and parks. She watched people laugh, cry, argue, and forgive. Each emotion fascinated her. She even asked to see a wedding, and when she witnessed two humans promising to stand by each other forever, she fell silent for a long time. Later, she told Eli, You humans are strange. You promise forever even when you know your lives are short. Eli chuckled softly. That's what makes it meaningful. It's not about how long we live. It's about how deeply we care while we're here. For the first time, the Queen smiled fully. It wasn't a royal smile. It was human, but the peace didn't last. 3 days after her arrival, a massive transmission from the Galactic Council appeared across all networks. The image of 12 alien rulers filled the sky, their voices echoing across every major city. Queen Seraphis IX has violated universal law, one of them declared. She has interfered directly with an undeveloped species. Return her immediately, or Earth will face the punishment of defiance. The human crowds panicked. The leaders called emergency meetings. Many wanted to surrender her immediately to avoid conflict, but Eli refused. She came in peace, he told the United Nations Assembly. She didn't attack or demand. She came to learn. If we give her up, we betray everything we claim to be. Some leaders agreed. Others didn't. The debate grew intense. Meanwhile, Seraphis remained calm, but Eli could see the sadness in her glowing eyes. I never meant to bring danger to your people, she told him quietly. Perhaps I was selfish. Eli shook his head. You were brave. You showed the galaxy something it needed to see, that even the most powerful can seek understanding. She looked at him gently. You speak as though I will not survive this. Eli didn't answer. He didn't want to. That night, Earth's orbit filled with alien ships. Massive silver-blue war vessels surrounded the planet. They didn't attack, but their presence was enough to send a message. Humanity stood at the edge of war. Eli and Seraphis met one last time in a quiet observatory. Through the glass, Earth glowed below them, a small blue sphere hanging in darkness. I think they'll destroy us if you don't go, Eli said softly. I know, she replied, but I will not leave until I speak. He looked at her in disbelief. If you speak against them, they'll call it rebellion. She smiled sadly. Then let me rebel for the right reason. She stepped closer, her presence warm like sunlight. Eli Warren, she said, her tone gentle but royal. You have shown me what no archive or history could. Your people's heart beats louder than any weapon. I will not let that be silenced. Eli didn't know what to say. He simply nodded, understanding her decision. The next morning, the Queen appeared before the Galactic Council via universal broadcast. Every ship, every planet, and every species in the nearby systems received the signal. Her image filled the skies, standing tall beside Eli. I broke protocol, she began calmly. I did so because I wish to understand what we have forgotten. The council members spoke angrily, but she raised her hand, and the sound stopped. Humans are not weak, she said firmly. They do not rule with fear. They rule with feeling. They forgive, they dream, and they care for one another, even when it brings pain. That is what makes them powerful. She looked directly into the camera. If seeking to learn that truth is a crime, then I accept punishment. But know this, I have found something worth protecting, and it lives here on Earth. The council went silent. Across the galaxy, countless beings watched in awe. No monarch had ever spoken like that before. After the broadcast ended, the council ships slowly retreated. No attack came. No war began. Humanity had been spared, not by force but by words. Seraphis stood beside Eli, the light of dawn touching her robes. It seems they will let me go for now, she said softly. Eli looked at her, relieved but sad. You can't stay, can you? She shook her head. Not yet. The galaxy needs time to understand. But know this, I will return. Because your kind has something even the stars cannot create, Eli asked quietly. What's that? She smiled. Hope. And with that she stepped into the beam of light. Slowly, her form dissolved into sparkles that rose toward the sky. Within moments, her ship was gone, leaving only the sound of the wind and the quiet beating of human hearts. That night, people all over Earth looked up at the stars. For the first time in history, they didn't feel small. They felt seen. And somewhere beyond the Milky Way, Queen Seriphus IX looked back from her throne among the stars, holding a single human flower, still glowing softly in her hand. Weeks passed after Queen Seriphus left Earth, but her visit had changed everything. Humanity was no longer seen as a small, unimportant race. Across the galaxy, news channels, alien archives, and interstellar governments spoke of the same thing: the day the Monarch broke protocol for a human. At first, many believed it was only a political story, but slowly it became something more. Her message about humanity's emotional gravity began to spread. Alien philosophers debated it. Soldiers in distant empires questioned their orders. Even among the Zelthari, her own people, voices began to whisper. Perhaps the Queen was right. But for Dr. Eli Warren, life had returned to quiet duty. He was back aboard the research vessel Aurora orbiting Mars. Yet peace didn't feel peaceful anymore. He often stared at the stars, wondering if somewhere far beyond the Queen was still watching Earth. Captain Aisha noticed his silence one evening. You miss her, she said gently. Eli smiled sadly. Not her exactly. More like what she represented. For the first time, someone out there didn't see us as fragile. She saw us as something meaningful. Aisha nodded slowly. You gave the galaxy something to think about, Eli. But don't forget, the Council doesn't forgive easily. If they decide we're a problem, they'll come again. Eli sighed. Then we'll just have to show them that humans are more than a problem to solve. 2 months later, the Aurora received a new transmission, encrypted with the same royal insignia as before. The crew froze. It was from Seriphus IX. Eli rushed to decode it. The hologram that appeared was faint, flickering as if the signal was struggling to reach across unimaginable distance. The Queen looked tired but calm. Eli Warren, her voice echoed. I promised I would return, but I fear I cannot, not yet. The Council grows restless. My people are divided. Many demand my removal, saying I have been infected by human thought. Eli clenched his fists. That's not infection, Dor, that's understanding. Seriphus smiled weakly. Yes, but in their eyes, understanding is weakness. Still, there are those who listen. Your world has inspired many who have never questioned the Council before. Then her tone became serious, but danger grows. Some believe that destroying Earth will erase the idea I began. They think if humans vanish, their doubts will vanish too. The crew gasped. Captain Aisha shouted, Are they planning an attack? Seriphus nodded slowly. A faction within the Council has sent a fleet. I have delayed them, but I cannot stop them alone. Eli stepped forward. Then we'll defend ourselves. Her gaze softened. You are brave, Eli Warren. But bravery without unity will fail. You must make your people stand as one, as they did when I walked among you. The signal began to fade. Remember, she said, what makes you strong is not your weapons, but your heart. Then the hologram vanished. Within hours, Earth's governments met in emergency session. The warning was clear. A massive alien fleet was heading toward human space. Scientists estimated it would arrive within 10 days. Panic spread across every nation. Military leaders wanted to prepare weapons. Civilians began to hide. But Eli remembered the Queen's words. Bravery without unity will fail. So he proposed something different. We can't fight them ship by ship, he said at the World Council. We have to show them why humanity is worth saving. We have to speak, not shoot, many disagreed. You can't reason with a fleet, one general shouted. Eli replied calmly. Maybe not with weapons, but perhaps with something stronger, truth. Captain Aisha supported him. The Queen believed in us. Let's give her reason to keep believing. So Earth decided to do the unthinkable. Instead of hiding, humanity would broadcast a message to the approaching alien fleet. On the 9th day, as alien ships entered the outer system, every human satellite, antenna, and station united to send one message across space. Eli stood in front of the global transmitter. his voice steady but full of emotion. "To those who come to destroy us," he began, "we are not your enemies. We are explorers, dreamers, builders, and believers. We do not seek war, only understanding. The Queen came to us not as a conqueror, but as a learner. She saw what we are, an imperfect, yes, but also capable of love and hope. If that frightens you, then it means you have forgotten what truly matters." He paused, then added softly, "We will not raise our weapons first. If you attack, we will defend ourselves. But know this, the galaxy will remember that we chose peace before violence." The message spread beyond the fleet. The Zelthari people saw it too, and among them something began to shift. Meanwhile, Seraphis stood on her royal vessel, facing her council's army. Her advisors begged her to retreat. "They will remove you, Majesty," one warned. She looked at the stars toward Earth and said quietly, "Then let them. A monarch who fears truth is not fit to lead." Moments later, she opened a transmission to every ship in the fleet. Her image appeared on every screen. "You call me weak because I listen to humans," she said. "But what is weakness and to destroy what you don't understand or to try to understand it?" The commander shouted protest, but she continued, "If you destroy them, you destroy everything noble left in us. For the first time in ages, I have seen what it means to feel, to hope, to care. If that is weakness, then I choose weakness." Her words spread like wildfire through the fleets. Crews hesitated. Soldiers paused. Captains questioned orders. Then one by one, the ships turned away. When the fleets finally appeared in Earth's orbit, they didn't attack. Instead, they sent a message. "We wish to talk." A meeting was arranged aboard the Queen's flagship. Eli, representing Earth, was transported there. When he entered the Grand Hall, he saw Seraphis again, tired but proud. "You did it," she said softly. "Your people chose peace," Eli smiled. "No, we just followed your example." The alien commander stood nearby, uncertain but listening. Seraphis spoke to them firmly. "See this human? He represents what we lost, courage to care. We have feared emotions because we thought they made us weak. But perhaps they make us whole." The oldest commander stepped forward. "And if you are wrong, Your Majesty?" She looked at Eli, then back at him. "Then I would rather be wrong beside humans than right among the heartless." There was silence. Then the commander bowed slightly. "Then let us begin again." News of the peace spread through the stars. For the first time in thousands of years, the Zelthari and humans formed an alliance based on understanding, not control. Trade began, knowledge was shared, and barriers fell. Human scientists learned from the Zelthari's technology, while the aliens studied human art, music, and emotions. The galaxy began to change quietly but surely, and Eli? He became Earth's first ambassador of harmony, traveling with Queen Seraphis to distant worlds, teaching that emotion and logic could exist together. One day, while standing on the observation deck of her ship, Seraphis asked softly, "Eli Warren, tell me honestly, Oz, are you taken?" Eli laughed gently. "By the stars, perhaps, and by friendship." She smiled, her eyes glowing faintly. "Then that is enough." They watched the stars together in silence. For the first time, both human and alien shared the same thought. The universe no longer felt cold. Years later, long after both of them had become legends, a small flower was placed at the base of a monument in New York City. It was shaped like a human hand holding a star, and beneath it were simple words. "She came to learn. We learned to feel. Together we changed the stars." And somewhere far beyond the reach of any telescope, a soft, golden light still crossed the void, the eternal sign that one alien monarch and one human had shown the galaxy what it truly meant to be alive.